Moreno, rightfully so, minus 260 favorite, plus 210 comeback for Brandon Royval. I do have a question for you, though. And the question is, how much does common opponents, which these two have a lot of, right, and the most recent outings play into these numbers in terms of the odds? Because I was a little confused. Brandon Royval, though it wasn't super competitive, he had a competitive matchup against Alexandre Pantoja. It was a stylistic matchup that ended up faltering, right? Moreno went to a split decision versus Pantoja. Both of them lost. It's kind of surprising to see Royval open at a plus 210 underdog, though. Like, I thought this number would be a little tighter together. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I expected a little bit closer odds right here, Derek, especially because I do think common opponents and outcomes of those do go into the fight and how a lot of the tendencies will play out. And I definitely did not expect it to be this big of a bump. You know what I'm saying? Minus 260. Don't get me wrong. I do think Moreno is the favorite right here, but having Royval at a plus 210 comeback, man, that seems a little drastic to me.
And this is a winnable fight for Brandon Royval, but it all really depends on how much did he learn from the last outing against Alexandre Pantoja. And there's one big red flag that I see here. So if you're taking a look over just at the board, right, and you want to take a look at like the last 10, all that good stuff, right, you see a lot more finishes in the Royval camp. A lot of stuff is great setups, a lot of fantastic striking, but when you get to this upper echelon of the top 3 fighters in the division, you don't really land those anymore, right? You have to really gut these fights out. So if this is a 5-round fight, which it is, at elevation, which it is, the only problem that I see, man, is how much can Royval get going now without the fear of the takedown? He's letting the takedown happen so often. If you're looking at the takedown defense right now, 40% for Brandon Royval, 64% in return there for Brandon Moreno. So it makes me feel Brandon Moreno already had success grappling against Davison Figueiredo, who's a legit jiu-jitsu threat. For Brandon Royval, man, like how much of his offense can he get going without finding the same situation of, you gotta get up, you gotta get up. We don't want to hear that from the corner. What do you think?
Yeah, no, Dad, that was going to be my question to you. What difference can Royval really make in this fight, except for trying to stay at distance, trying to maintain that range management? Because it seems like he falls into that trap consistently of chaos comes in, hands get thrown, feet get thrown, and the next thing you know, you're on your back getting controlled. We saw it a lot in the Pantoja fight, and that's where I think if Royval really wants to do anything different, man, he's going to need to keep the hands fast, knees up the middle, but be really good at the scrambles. I can almost guarantee that Moreno's going to get this fight to the ground. And if Royval has been working those scrambles, working the switches, the flips, everything he can do to get away and get up, then I think he'll have some success. Derek, how likely do you think he's going to be able to, hit the sweeps and all of that?
For Moreno or for Royval?
Royval.
I think it's going to be tough, man. I think Moreno has really good top control. And like I said, he had to fight a really big, strong opponent in Davison Figueiredo, and he was able to successfully keep him there for minutes at a time. You know what I mean? So that's how you drag out the rounds. That's how you win the rounds. And that's how Alexandre Pantoja dethroned him. He said it, not dethroned, but got the victory. But he even said it. He was like, listen, this dude is super tough. I had to do what I had to do to get the win. I don't see why Moreno doesn't mimic that. So that's when I take a look at some of these props and say, okay, well, let's take a look at the juice. And the real juice is 3.5 rounds is the over and under for this matchup right here. I don't see how that plus 160 decision is not juicy as hell in the side of Brandon Moreno right here. Now for Brandon Royval, I think you got to kind of lean towards a finish if you really want to like take advantage of that. But for Moreno, I think plus 160 decision. I mean, when's the last time this man has gotten like a legitimate finish that's like I starched this dude type finish? Not the Kai Kara France, he kicked him in the body and he just shut him down and all that stuff, but just sparked somebody. I think it's been a while, right?
Oh yeah, no, it's been a while. I was actually looking at it right now. Starching somebody, you can see the vast majority of Brandon Royval's finishes do come from the hands. They start, but then he slips in a submission after that. He finds his way to make it an easier finish. And I'm with you, Derek. I see that on the Moreno side, the plus 160 decision seems to be the best outcome. Yeah. But if you are looking for Royval, this is a winnable fight. That money line is juice all day long.
And that's what I was talking more about. When's the last time Brandon Moreno has sparked somebody, right? But it's still all applicable, right? The whole point is that all the finishes, right? So you got the Davison Figueiredo, the doctor stoppage. That's an accumulation of damage. Kai Kara France, he shut him down with the body kick. Awesome, right? In a back and forth fight. That was a close fight. Then you got the submission on Figueiredo, okay? And then you got the Brandon Royval injury. So here we are. You know what I mean? The point is, what my takeaway, folks, is if you're looking for juice here, plus 160 Brandon Moreno is super duper juicy. If you're looking for a Brandon Royval underdog pick, no need to even worry about any of these props. Just take the money line and run with it if you're that confident. But if there's something that I'm super confident that I want to string into parlays, it's over 3.5 rounds all day long. Like, I'm stringing that into a bunch of my parlays because if you look at the over, minus 145 plus 115 for the under. This is flyweights. I know flyweight unders have been hitting recently. I just don't think it's going to happen here. Aside from that, do you have any other takes on the numbers for this matchup?
Yeah, Derek, I think the only hesitancy I have with the over, with the decision, and I honestly, completely honest with you, Derek, I do think that's the most likely outcome. Mexico City in elevation, it always does add a little wrinkle in the plan, but I do really like that Brandon Moreno plus 160 decision.
If I'm not mistaken, Brandon Royval fights out of Factory X Muay Thai in Colorado, if I'm not mistaken, which ultimately means that he's already fighting at elevation. Now, is it Mexico City elevation? That's a different level, right? But it's elevation nonetheless. Don't think cardio will be too much of a factor. I think the takedowns are going to be the biggest factor in my opinion. So, Bloody Water Podcast consensus pick. We got Brandon Moreno. I'm taking the juice plus 160 with the decision prop. AJ, you lean in the same way?
All day, brother, plus 160.
That's your main event. UFC Mexico rematch. Brandon Moreno gets it done for the second time.